I finally moved. I left my home and moved to this teeny tiny island in the middle of the channel, still not fully believing that this is where I am, because this has been my dream for the past 9 years. Now that I'm here, I get to completely reinvent who I am, and I wanted to take you on this journey and actually give you the best tips that I have to reinvent yourself and become unrecognizable before 2025, because it's in 15 weeks. We're not even going to talk about the basic, gym, eat well, sleep, repeat. No, I'm gonna get deep into what you should actually do to see the maximum results within all the areas of your life. So if you want the realest tips on how to actually glow up, stay tuned, because it's gonna get better as we go, especially 8 through 10. That's gonna blow your mind. So let's jump right into tip number 1, which is to create 3 morning routines. Not just one, you'll actually need 3. My clients know that better than anyone else because they just cannot shut up about it. It's so key. The reason why we create 3 is just so you remove the stress of having to have the perfect routine with everything every day, and you actually also have those slow mornings when you have less energy or maybe less time. So the first thing I want you to do is write down all the habits that your perfect self would have. Meditating, journaling, going to the gym, eating healthy, stretching, drinking water, making your bed. Write that down. Then from that list, you want to just pick the non-negotiable habits. So what I mean by that is, for example, even as a personal trainer, I'm not going to the gym every day. This is very unrealistic for me. I would not be going more than 4 or 5 times per week, maybe, depending on how sore I am. So this is not a non-negotiable. This is something I don't do every single day. However, reading every morning while I drink my coffee is non-negotiable. Like I cannot function if I haven't being able to have that slow type of morning. So once you have the list of everything you want to have in the perfect routine and non-negotiable, it's time to create 3 routines. The first one is the one I call the high energy one, when you get as close to as possible to your favorite self, best self routine. So you want to write down what time are you waking up, how long it's going to take you to complete every activity, when, the order, and so on, just so you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Second thing, you're going to write down the non-negotiable routine. Again, order, how long it's going to take you, when you're waking up. From there, what you'll have to do is create a mid-energy routine, so just taking the average of the 2, and that will give you the routine that you will be completing on most days. In terms of how often I recommend you try each of those routines, I recommend the high energy should be once a week. Slow mornings, same. Then you've got the mid-energy that can be 5 days a week, 4 days a week maybe, really depending on how you feel, but I don't recommend you try the high energy one as your best self to do every single day, just because it can get really overwhelming. I don't want you to get burnt out and exhausted because it's a lot. You're practicing being your best self. You don't have to be there yet. Now, let's switch to tip number 2, because no matter how much I want to wake up at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, if I go to bed past 10 p.m., this is not happening. I need my sleep. I will not function if I don't get that. So I have this non-negotiable curfew set in place. I have to be at home, ideally in bed by 10 p.m, even on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. To calculate when your ideal curfew should be placed, I recommend you knowing when you have to get up, how much sleep you need, and of course, how long it's going to take you to actually fall asleep. From there, you reverse engineer the process. This is when I have to get in bed by, so this is my curfew when I have to be home. So a quick example for me, I wake up at 6:30 a.m. in the morning here, just because British don't know how to make curtains that will completely black out the room. Until the sun rises a little bit later, I'm stuck with 6:30. It's fine, I've accepted my fate, I'm probably gonna keep that. With that being said, I need to sleep 7 hours and a half to 9 hours on a particularly intense workout day. So that means that I actually have to be in bed by 10 p.m, even a little bit earlier, and right now it takes me 15, maybe 30 minutes to fall asleep, so 9:30 would be the ideal. And I often end up turning the light off and doing some sort of meditation to fall asleep, or I will read with I think you can see it maybe right here, with a light that isn't going to be as bright as the one here. Sleep is so crucial. I think I keep saying it, but you can't overlook it because it's going to impact every single other aspect. Relationship, work, health, all of it. So please, do me a favor, pay attention to what you do before you go to bed, because this will definitely impact how you sleep. Moving on, tip number 3, upgrading my environment. Obviously, I'm kind of cheating here because I'm moving. I have a completely new environment to work with, and actually I have noticed that my very annoying habit of scrolling until 1 a.m. on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts when I was at home completely vanished, because I was in this new environment, and I guess the move exhausted me enough that I would go to sleep early, and that really helped. But obviously you don't have to move to upgrade your environment and help you become a new version of you in there. You can just move a little bit your furnitures around, declutter or redecorate. For example, I want flowers, which are going to end up right here or right there. And I'm gonna buy sunflowers, I'm gonna buy a nice vase. I could not have that when I was in France, just because my cats would just give me a miserable time with any type of flowers that I would have in my room, so that was not an option. Luckily here-ish, I actually get to have that, and that really makes me feel someone different. I've also ordered a few stuff online to actually redecorate the room and really make it feel like home, and like the new version of me would have as well. But the point is, a clean and organized space will always help you feel different, have a different mindset, because a cluttered space often means cluttered mind, and obviously we don't want that. So you really want to be organized. It's going to have the best impact on your mindset, how you feel, how you show up. With that being said, let me give you the smoothest transition to tip number 4, which is I'm definitely going to incorporate the 1 minute rule. As per my mom, I used to be quite messy when I was at home and stuff would pile up. I would not clean my room immediately and it would just keep the clutter here. Not helpful. So I've decided to implement this very powerful rule, which is if it takes me less than 1 minute, I have to do it. So that means no more clothes sitting on my chair for the longest time. I can make my bed in a minute. Let's do that. That really helps in avoiding clutter. First of all, we're going back to the cluttered mind, and procrastination, because you feel productive, that gets the ball rolling, and it's just so much easier to keep on doing it. Tip number 5 is networking with intention. What I mean by that is, and I just got off the phone with a client and we actually talked about it, it's not necessarily about career growth, but who you surround yourself with, your friends, your boyfriend, and so on. You have to be looking for individuals that share the same values as you, the work ethic as you, and even inspire you to actually keep on growing and, you know, keep upgrading your life. For example, and this is what I was talking about with a client, we were talking about how for each of us it was really important to date someone who also goes to the gym, or at least has some sort of, you know, physical activity going on, just because it's a value to take care of you. Don't need the six-pack, absolutely not. What I mean is, it's just a value of I want my kids to see their parents as active people, and I want to have that, you know, active lifestyle as well for myself, for my kids, for my partner. And this is the same for my friends that I'm planning on making here, because obviously I arrived on this small island not knowing anybody. I'd rather meet people at a fitness class, you know, dance class, running club, than at the bar. Doesn't mean that I don't go at bars, you know, with my friends, even in France, but that means that this is the new friends that I want to make, people that are going to inspire me to be better and just keep on growing. Sometimes it's also okay to be the boring friend. I'm completely fine with that. I think it's very well known now that you're the sum up of the 5 people you hang out the most with, so you really want to be careful of who actually ends up being in that circle, because the amount of clients that I've heard telling me that their family members weren't supportive of their goals and they were kind of struggling to eat protein, go to the gym, and just see results because they just couldn't say no and didn't have boundaries or a supportive environment. It is so cute. Tip number 6, digital minimalism challenge. As I've just said, I get fairly distracted by my phone and I spend a fair amount of time on it. And we all know how distracting doom scrolling on Instagram can be. This was one of my biggest issue at home. Like, this is definitely the thing that I was the most conscious of and absolutely hated about myself. Let me check. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but my usual average phone usage is 7 to 8 hours a day, and that is humbling. Sure, I spend a lot of time, you know, on my screen talking to clients, answering DMs, editing videos, scrolling to Instagram to find content ideas, but I don't want to kid myself. I know that I spend a lot of time just scrolling mindlessly, not doing anything. And it was mostly because where I used to live, I didn't have that much to do. I didn't have a car, no gym access every day, so that was easy to just find it as an excuse. Well, I don't have anything to do. Now I just have to get out, 15-minute walk, I'm at the gym. I have literally no excuse, and that's definitely why I've decided first thing to implement this challenge. I'm tired of being on my screen all the time. So what you want to do is basically set a time for when you want to cut off notification and maybe turn your phone in D&D. This really cool thing that Apple does when you just change your screen so it doesn't show a specific app after a specific time or depending on what mode you set your phone on. So that's something I've been using, very effective, and that's definitely something that you want to try as well because it has changed my evenings so much. Now that I think about it, I also want to mention that while it's nice to, and I'm going to talk about it in like a few tips, but it's really good to have an idea as to what you're going to do instead of being on your phone mindlessly. mindlessly scrolling, for example, just because you can't break a habit. And I'm gonna say that like in 2 minutes, but you can't really break a habit. You have to shift whatever you're doing. So now instead of being on my phone, I get to read a book, and that's much better. Okay, this one is a new one. I haven't seen anyone talk about it, and this is called the golden hour rule. So in photography, it refers to the last hour before sunset and the first hour after sunrise. It's basically the pretty time to take pictures. So I really wanted to apply this concept into my life, and I'm fairly sure that I'm not the one who came up with that. I decided to do it anyways. I don't need to know who created that to actually do it. So I googled golden hour today, and it got me 6:40 a.m. to 7 a.m. for the morning and 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. for the evening. So that's 45 minutes, 40 minutes. I decided that I would dedicate this golden hour to my personal growth and self-care. What I mean by that is in the morning, luckily for me, I wake up at 6:30, so it really works out very well, but I wash my face, go make myself some coffee, and then I read in bed for 20 minutes with my coffee, and it's non-fiction because, you know, self-growth. I also write in my 5-minute journal, and I'm set for the day. That's the first part of the golden hour rule completed. And then in the evening, I pretty much do the same. I reflect on the day, I'm gonna journal again in the 5-minute journal, and I'll go for an evening half-hour walk just because it really helps me cut off, like, this is after work, I'm not working after that. But you can do whatever you want during that time. Reading, journaling, setting intention, meditation, stretching, like really anything you want that feels like self-care, that feels like growth. And again, I've set up my phone to get into D&D mode at these specific times just so I avoid any type of distractions. And before you say anything, I am very aware that the golden hours change throughout the year. It's just, it happened to be convenient when I started, and I'm not gonna try to change and adapt to match the real time outside. I'm just gonna keep on doing 6:40 to 7:20 and 6:30 to 7:15. Okay, tip number 8. Life can get overwhelming. I get that. And that's where the reset ritual comes in. When the 1-minute rule doesn't really work out the way I would want to, that's when I definitely need that. So if you're ready to start another activity, another day, another week. So that's why it's really key to have a reset ritual somehow. So let's talk about the ways to actually implement that into your life. So first off, you have the reset day. I think this is kind of getting known on socials for a while now, so let's briefly talk about that. But you know, it's the day when you do your chores, maybe groceries, perhaps you also do the meal preps, but definitely vacuuming, laundry, and so on. And then you reward yourself with a nice everything shower. Now let's talk about resetting the day. I really like my morning routines. That's my favorite time of the day, and it is what feels to me like the reset part of the day. Especially my coffee/reading combo. Honestly, that's just my favorite. And that's something I genuinely enjoy doing. And on this note, when I was talking about routines, I don't know why I didn't mention that before, but when I was talking about routines, it is very important for it to be something that you enjoy. It should go without saying, but I know it's not. It is going to be very counterproductive for you to try to get you to do something you absolutely hate. You're just gonna quit. It's very unsustainable. Just don't do it. And now let's talk about resetting for another activity ritual. It's basically a quick activity that you do to transition between one thing that you're doing to another. Or whenever you're feeling stressed or stuck and you sort of need to shake things up. This could be a deep breathing exercise. It could be journaling for a minute or so, a short meditation, a brisk walk. For me, it's making tea or coffee. I'm a huge beverage girl. If you see my socials and my Instagram stories, I'm always with a cup, and I have the specific beverages depending on what time of the day it is or what I'm doing. So that's pretty much has been my reset ritual, but it really is about finding that action that helps you hit refresh. I definitely recommend. Okay, this is one I'm so excited about: creating your own personal uniform. And it isn't about wearing the same outfit every single day, but rather curating a wardrobe that makes you feel good about yourself, confident and comfortable. So I'm a fitness coach, as you all know, and that means that I definitely tend to spend my days in gym clothes. It's really comfortable and I like it, but I don't feel as confident and put together as I would want. So I had to think about what would empower me and basically help me get to that best version of me. Plus, it actually reduces decision fatigue because you have the same type of stuff that you just roll with every day. That's also very helpful. While I was packing my stuff to move, I ended up trying almost every single piece of clothing I own, and I threw a lot away that I didn't like. I didn't throw it away. I donated it, don't worry. And I just took the stuff that I like. Sorry, cut. So let's try again, shall we? So the point with that is, as I was packing my stuff, I ended up with a specific set of outfits that I genuinely like, feel confident in. Gym fits, obviously, but also a lot of dresses. I assume that's sort of the person that I want to be now. So, you know, when I go out, I only pick a dress and I'm pretty much ready, only have a few jewels to put on, and again, this is the exact same set, like every single time. And that just helps me feel my best. You're welcome. And the last tip of the day is my personal favorite, which is a reverse bucket list. We all know that a bucket list is a list of all the things that you want to do in your life, maybe accomplish, or places to visit, and so on. But I wanted to have a list of the things that I do not want to have in my life, do not want to do anymore. Whether it's habits, you know, specific activities, or even relationships that drain you. And just whatever doesn't align with your goals and the new person that you want to become. So take your journal out and write down all of these things and then assess your life based on that. For example, I've been really loud about the fact that I hate the fact that I used to doom scroll on Instagram until 1 AM or just watch Netflix in bed until whenever. And as I've mentioned, my screen time is 8 hours a day and I'm definitely working on reducing that by half. I really think that it's nice to know what you want to do, who you want to be, what you want to accomplish, but unfortunately, if you're not aware of the things that you don't want to have in your life, it kind of creeps into it without you really figuring it out and without you actually paying attention, and you get stuck with bad habits as a result. So another way is you can just observe what you do now and make a list of everything you do from, you know, waking up to going to bed, and sort of assess each of those and ask yourself, okay, is that a habit I want to keep or is that something I want to break? Now, as I've already said a few minutes ago, you can't break a habit, you can just switch it to something. So the point is, whatever you feel like is not aligned with you, you want to get rid of, you have to switch it for another habit. For example, my phone became reading a book. That way you're not left with a hole in your routine. If you were trying to have that, you wouldn't really know how to feel it, and inevitably the habit that you're trying to get rid of will creep in again. I highly recommend that you only choose one habit at a time. There's really no point in overwhelming yourself and trying to change everything all at once. Unless you have a powerful environment change like I have, which completely transformed everything. Great. And then once it becomes easy, you can change another one and so on. So there you have it. That was my 10 unconventional tips on how to completely become unrecognizable before 2025. And that's something that you can keep on working on even after. Remember that it's not about completely transforming everything, but making intentional choices that will have the biggest impact as to who you want to become and the version of you actually want to show up as. So if you found this video helpful, you know, like it, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!